that is passed in this country is absolutely the way to go. Fortunately, if we instituted such a test and we did it retroactively, we would probably cut the federal code down by about 92-95%, because many of the laws on the books and much of the bureaucracy on the books is a violation or an encroachment of certain of the Bill of Rights. And I know that sounds to a lot, that's going to sound like an extremist position, and I guess maybe it is an extremist position if loving freedom is and really cherishing the American ideal and the American way of life. If that's considered extremist, I guess I fall into that category. I know you do.
No doubt about that. Well, let's get back to the magazine for a moment. Over the years, people have watched a lot of gun-oriented magazines offer test reviews. And gee whiz, that gun always is fantastic in the magazine. I'm wondering what kind of pressure you get from advertisers to print glowing reviews.
Well, believe it or not, very little, Aaron. At this point, very little. When I purchased SWAT magazine in 2001, I flew out to Arizona and met with the editor, Denny Hansen, got a sense for who he was. And I said, I'll tell you what, we're going to do this as a social experiment. Let's see if we can have a gun magazine out there that really tells it like it is, doesn't kiss up to advertisers, and let's see if advertisers and subscribers will buy it. And advertising is naturally a large part of our ability to continue our revenues. Well, we took on that attitude and learned some lessons about it. We lost one or two major advertisers, and because we absolutely panned their weapons. I can think of one shotgun in particular that was about to be used in Afghanistan. And we reviewed it, and the review did not come out well. And we printed that, and we lost that advertiser. They still won't speak to me. And to an extent, they're probably right. It's one thing to tell it like it is. I guess I didn't need to feature them prominently on the cover in an article that was most unflattering. And so I learned that lesson. Since then, we've really gained a reputation. We're very, very seldom asked, hey, listen, can we see a copy of the review before it's printed? We always refuse, but it very seldom comes up. I can speak of at least 3 manufacturers that we approached and said, listen, we've got a review of your handgun or your rifle. And the review is an honest review, but we have a couple major problems with it, and we're going to print it. But the reason we're approaching you is that we've got a great shot for the cover, and we'll give you the choice. If you don't want it on the cover, we won't put it there. In all 3 cases, those potential advertisers or advertisers, they were all gun manufacturers, said, well, we know how you do things. We know you're going to be honest about it. Put it on the cover. We'll take our chances. And so the industry doesn't have to be quite as whorish as many think that it is. If you go through, in SWAT's case, if you go through any issue and you look at who we're covering in editorial and try to compare that to the list of advertisers, you're going to find a real disconnect there, because it is disconnected. We very much separate advertising from editorial, let the chips fall where they may, and you'll seldom see latest, greatest, you have to have this firearm review in SWAT magazine.
Couple of final questions for you. You folks have a website?
www.swatmag.com.
And what can people expect to find on that site?
Well, the site will show our current issue, complete table of contents, introductory description for each of the features in that issue, and in all back issues. You can search the website for a term you may be looking for in order to see whether or not we covered a certain firearm in past. You can also subscribe. Naturally, we have a shopping area where you can buy back issues in PDF or printed form, and you can renew your subscription to the magazine. And we also offer some freebies. We have, for every issue that we've published since July 01, you can download in PDF format a free sample of that issue called SWAT Snapshots, which is, maybe 8 or 10 pages, 12, 15 pages of editorial from that issue, full text articles, trying to give you a sample of what we're about in each issue.
Where does one find SWAT magazine if they don't have a subscription?
If you don't have a subscription, we have good coverage in Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. We are now in 7-Elevens, the majority of the 7-Elevens nationwide. We can be a little bit hard to find. It's the nature of regrowing a title that was pretty much dormant 5 years ago. Regrowing a title into new outlets is a painstaking and slow process. We've done very well at it. We're in 4 times the number of outlets we were just 2 years ago, and continue to grow. But generally, those are the best places: your bookstores, your newsstands, 7-Eleven.
If someone wants to subscribe, do you have a number they can call? 800-673-4595. Subscriptions kind of falls where it's gonna fall, and that has grown real well. We've been I'm very grateful for the response gun owners have given the magazine. We've done well. Okay, what is the website again?
That is www.swatmag.com.
Okay, just to show you're a nice guy, are there any other magazines that you would recommend people read?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. American Handgunner, I already mentioned. I think that they're fabulous. I think that the artwork, Ishinagata's artwork in it alone is worth the price of admission. But more than that, Huntington's ability to walk the fine line that we walk also between honest review and the need to pay the bills is great. Colonel Bob Brown's Soldier of Fortune remains just an icon in print magazines in this area. Bob and I are close friends. He's been very much a mentor to me in the first couple of years since I took over the book. I think that's a phenomenal book.
Well, Rich, I want to thank you for being with us today. This has been Talking to America. Our guest today has been Richard Lucibella, publisher of SWAT Magazine. I'm your host, Aaron Zellman, and I'd like to remind you, if you don't defend your rights, don't complain when you lose them.
Opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of JPFO.org or its members. Talkin' to America is a production of JPFO.org.